At the moment it's more like the M25, you know that really annoying bit that's like dugga 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 dugga. Hey folks, welcome back. Bit of a change of plan today because I'm going to need your help, so stick around and I'll explain. Right, for the past week I've been working on the track, so that's what this video is going to be, and the reason being that I'm putting out another track video and not a barn conversion update is because this one is quite important, and I think there's some stages here I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing before tomorrow. So Sunday afternoon now, I'm going to go in, try and edit this video, get it up, and then hopefully you can tell me if I'm on the right path or not. On the right track. Right, new cab today. The new machine is here. I'll show you what it's like when we get down there, but first up, work out how to start it. We're in. So, we bit the bullet. I've hired out a 5-ton machine, and because of that, I need to make the most of my time. We've got 4 days. Plan of action is, today is the priority day because my dad's coming, so we'll be able to use the dumper and digger simultaneously. After that point, the next 3 days I'm running solo, so that basically means jumping from one machine to another a lot. Right, here's the machine. This is a 5-ton. We were using a 1.8, so it's a bit of an upgrade. And hopefully the size of the bucket's going to help us as much as anything. Right, that's the baby digger out of the way. Let's go have some fun with this one. Oh, progress made. I think the GoPro might have run out of battery at some point. That bucket is definitely the answer, but it's a 2-pass job. So you can see where we left the dumper, halfway down. All of this is now broken up and kind of graded underneath it all. So all of this is just loose. I just thought it's easiest to do that, and then I can use the blade and we can just get it all smooth. So I'm going to just clear the last few sheepy bits, and then we'll get started again. Also, my neighbour is coming over to run his metal detector over everything. He's been over some of the field already. We did some last week actually. Found a nice little coin from the 1800s. Nothing super magical yet, but time will tell. We have uncovered more track here. I think I'm just basically reliving someone else's thought, which was to have the track by this hedge on the higher ground, which makes entire sense. I don't think it's been a track for a while, but I'm coming across a lot of stone, pottery, bricks, so this probably was a route already. We're just kind of reinstating it. good morning. We are back on the track and I've got 2 more days with this digger without having to add on more time. So let me walk you along and let's see what we can shift today. So I have actually got all the way to the end now with the digger, with the big bucket. Everything is ready now to clear off. I've changed the bucket over to the, what do you call it, Trent ditching bucket, just so I can grade it all and launch it over the fence. I can only get so far with that dumper, and frankly I don't really want to be hopping on and off all day. Just been to the merchants to pick up some membrane, so I've got 200 meters of geotextile. It looks like I've done nothing, but this is about 200 or 300 mil of loose soil I just happen to attract over it. But that is, I mean, it's at least 20 dumper loads. God, should have driven down. I'm up and down constantly for customers as well, so not really that efficient. Once again, underestimated how long this is going to take and how hard it's going to be working solo, but I think I've broken the back of it at least, but I'm not sure it's going to all happen this weekend. Let me show you how I'm getting on, and maybe I don't need to worry as much as I am about levels, but I don't want to start putting stone down and then realise that I should have got it better to start with. So because I want it a sensible level, I've had to really cut into that bank. It didn't seem like it was going to be as bad as it was, but so there's quite a bit. I didn't want to go any close to those posts, but I've had to dig down and leave quite a sheer bank. If Craig had his digger here, he's got that wrist, that Encon wrist thing on the end, so he is always better at getting a nice sloped bank, because it's always better to have a slope than it is to have a sheer face like that. So maybe that was a mistake. This edge I'm just going to kick back on. I might bring the smaller digger along, because I think if I can put it to one side I can then spin the arm around and just about do that. And then I got to the point where I just couldn't use the dumper up here, so, well, not easily, so I've increased the height of this bank, which is beneficial to that hedge. I think we've still got a bit of time to get a metal detector over this, because I'm down to the old track now and there's loads of pottery, and that this has been at least a couple of feet under for a long time, so who knows what's there. More pottery and glasses. Alright, Sunday morning Instagram post was all about geotextile. I just put out a quick query on what you'd suggest cutting these rolls with, because I don't want to be rolling it out and then cutting it loose, because it'll take off and take me with it. So if I can cut these down to 3 meters as a roll, that'd be ideal. I was thinking some sort of angle grinder, disc cutter. A few people have suggested that. Portable bandsaw, of course, would be lovely, but I don't have that. Certainly nothing that would cope with that size. So, noisy ducks. So once we're ready for it, then I'll have a go. Well, I'm imagining that whatever we use is going to melt it rather than cut it. So I just got to hope that the ends don't fuse together, if that makes sense, because then it's going to be an even worse job to roll out, and it'd be quite nice if I could roll it out with a digger, because I feel like today is going to be jumping between 3 machines. Morning, you. Yeah, don't try and escape, all right? Oh, feels like we've built a blooming farm highway here. Right, these mating diggers need to be detached. Oh, everywhere, every time I look at this, it's more slopey. Trouble is, to get this level, I'd have to go down Oh, it's a farm track, isn't it? Have to embrace it at some point. This, although I've kind of fluffed it up a little bit, this is now graded as good as it needs to be. Of course, we've ended up with a vertical face on this side. I could start trying to carve a 45 into that bank, which would be better for grass, because I don't think the grass is going to take that well on the vertical section, but I'd be then eating into the hedge and things will get even wider. So I think what's going to happen naturally, we've gone just over 3 meters wide with the track. Naturally this bank will kind of fall in the road and soften down onto the track. Once the track is up to level, that 200mm kind of dig out that I've done, once it's up similar to the grass verge, then I can run the roller over that and add a little bit more and reseed it, and again it will kind of grow in both sides. But it's looking better now. I think that's as good as it needs to be. I've left a little bit of material here. Obviously we're going to have a big road roller over this, so where the poor little rabbit is, I've left some there because there's a natural dip in the track, so I don't really want to dig down. So I'm just going to keep going all the way down, remove anything bulky, scrape off any little lumps, and then we'll end up with the digger up the top ready to load some stone after lunch. I say stone, it's a mixture of crushed concrete and stone. As well as being way more powerful, one thing I'm loving about this digger, now I've actually worked out how to do it, is you don't have to get out the cab for anything. So you can change the bucket. There's a switch in here. We'll remember how to do it. That's it. And it releases that coupler on there. Help if that was all lined up. It would help if I could see out the windscreen. Put that on there. And then do that again. I think that's locked in. Anyway, I'm just going to go back up just a little bit. I'll leave this mound here, I'll get to the top of it. Just one bit that's just too stubborn to get with the other bucket. Needs some teeth on it. Right, back up. I think I'm done with that down there for now. However, I just made a bit of a boo-boo. The digging bucket is what I was going to use, and I've left it down there. It's so slow going up and down with a digger. There's no way I can move that bucket without picking it up with that. So that was a bit of a fail. So I've just used the forklift to clear everything that we've just been cluttering up the place with. So I can't remember what we said. I think it was about 400 or 500 tons. And I have no idea how far this is going to get us. Now remember, we're going to go 200mm of this, and then about 50mm of a much finer self-binding sort of aggregate on top. So it doesn't matter that we've got some big chunky bits in here, especially because we're going to get that big road roller. But definitely should have brought the other bucket. We'll see how we do. That bucket at least will be clean, give us a cleaner yard at the end. So if I can get the digger, maybe I need to get the digger right at the top. Yeah, I might pull this down, then drive up on top here, and then I can at least get a few dumper loads without moving. Unfortunately, I'm running low on diesel, we've only got red on the farm, so better go out to the petrol station once I know where to fill this thing up. Is that it? Well, you're not running on air. Ah, I'm guessing it's in there. One hour later, digger is now fueled, cleared out the yard. It's getting late. I don't really want to be doing this on a Sunday evening, but I'm going to get a few loads under my belt, and then I might even have help for a few hours tomorrow. Right, I'll show you when I get onto the next roll, but I've cut the 4.5 meter geotextile down. Now, like I said, I put this out on Instagram as a how do you do it. I used a circular saw first, and it was just bogging down and melting it, and then I went through with a handsaw and it was absolutely fine. The only difference with a handsaw is, whereas you're melting it with the circular saw or any spinning blade, it's more fluff, so I didn't really want that blowing into the grass. But handsaw next time, and then I can keep it straighter, I think. Now, one reason I want to try and get a load of it done tonight is the wind is blowing this way, which means as I'm loading the dumper with all that stone and crushed concrete, there's going to be less dust blowing towards the buildings, especially the neighbours. That hump is better. I think we've smoothed that now. I can see another one coming up, but if we're not careful, we're going to end up with the M5. At the moment, it's more like the M25. You know that really annoying bit? It's like, dugga, 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 dugga. There's no doubt in my mind that if we'd done this, well, budget and just the order of things didn't allow for it. But if you could do the track first, do everything you need to, get absolutely perfectly straight or level track, and then let the grass grow up on the verge, then come in the next year and put the fencing in, then arguably it'd be a far better job. But we didn't really have that option. Right, that is the first bit laid down, hoping that the dumper can come along now and tip over the top of it. Oh, I mean, there are definite humps I could still keep going at. So we need to empty that soil out the dumper. Well, that is one dumper load. I think a dumper's going to do around 5 or 6 meters maybe. So I've done it in 3 parts, and the only reason for that is, well, one, I don't want it to spill over, but I can only dump over the top of the roll. Luckily the roll's up on the side at this point. You know, it's going to crease and stuff, but that's absolutely fine. And now you kind of see why I left that digger there, because now I can work back this way and hopefully smooth things out. The reason why I've intentionally jumped this video to the front of the pile, top of the pile, and put it out today is because I just want to make sure that this is the best I can do with what I've got and working solo. I think it makes sense to have this digger down here as well. I've got to use the big one for loading. I can't tip from the field, I have to come down forwards. I can just about turn the dump around and head back out, so it's not a full-on 400-meter reverse. And I think, well, I don't know what other options there are. On Instagram, people had some comments, and a couple of people who do this day in day out gave me some tips, but that was really when you're having 3 or 4 guys on it and you've got everything there on site, more turning space and rollers and stuff, whereas I'm aiming to get it to the point where I've got this crushed concrete down, just track it in and get it as level as I can, and then in the future, maybe in a week or 2, then hire out the big road roller, you know, that I can put water down, get all the finished top layer gravel ordered and get that on site as well, and do that as a separate install. So this should track down fine and be smooth enough and level enough to drive on. It's just not going to be the finished surface. But if I can get to a point where, well, that I've at least done this all the way down the track, that would be a good use of that digger before it goes back, because I can't manage without that big digger now. I'd like to buy one actually. I'll break that to Joe. Anyway, that is as far as I've got. So let me know if you do anything differently. Yes, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I would have done a much better job of this track and sculpted the field, and there would be no harsh sort of angles at the side. But like I've said, that's gonna naturally bank down over time. I'm not going to try and cheat nature by assuming I can sculpt it. It only takes a couple of lambs to run up and down there and it'll start knocking off the edges and smoothing it out anyway. And we might end up at a point where, you know, in a few years we end up with a bit of a green strip down the middle, and that's no bad thing either. That's going to just soften the whole look, otherwise it might look a little bit like some sort of highway down the field. So once the stone's down, once that's rolled, things will encroach back on it and it should be okay. I'm going to put this video out tonight. If you've got time, comment down below, let me know anything you do differently, or you know, bit of reassurance. I'm going to carry on with this tomorrow. I may have a few hours help tomorrow, and if that is the case, I now realize that having a dumper driver is not the answer unless you've got 2 dumpers. And I think the best thing to do is whoever's driving the dumper goes up there, jumps into the big digger, fills their own dumper, while the other person is down here grading everything out and spending a bit of time in that little digger. Because also when it comes to tipping, that person can be on the ground and rolling out and as the dumper driver, otherwise the dumper driver is on and off as well. So it might be that it's serve yourself up at the yard buffet, then come down, and then there's always something going on down here and always 2 people down here. Doesn't need to be 2 people up there. I need a cold beverage and I need to edit this video. I'm gonna leave it there. I promise you we'll be back on the barn videos next week, or even this week. We're trying to do 2 videos a week now because there's just so much going on. We've got a video on the remaining walls going up, and we've also got a video on our bricks. Tom and I have done some test work panels on the bricks. We're playing with different mortars, lime mortars, white cement mortars, and it's all good stuff that I want to share. So keep an eye out for those. But for now, track is the name of the game. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself. And we'll see you next time. Been quiet and simple, but now that it's gone.